Okay, this is my second attempt to do this. We'll go back to the beginning. My audio wasn't working for my first attempt because I did a meeting with Teams, and Teams doesn't play nice because it's Microsoft. Anyhow, audio's working now. So here's the story. I received this thing in my email from deeplearning.ai, building AI applications with Haystack. Now, I should know better than to follow something that's advertised in my email, even if I did sign up for the mailing list, but I'm just not that smart. But here's the rule, right? If it charges me money anywhere along the line, I'm going to bail. But I think it's free. It gives the impression that it's free, but we'll see. So obviously I did go this far already in the previous attempt. Hit this video. There is no transcript. Boo hiss. So I got this far into it, and now this is all new content. So I don't want to listen to 436 worth of talking heads, but right now I have no choice. But if I get a chance, I'll skip later videos.
Welcome to Building AI Applications with Haystack, built in partnership with DeepSet, the creator of Haystack, and taught by Tuana Celik. This course will introduce a popular open source AI framework called Haystack, describe its components and syntax, and go on to show you how you could use it to build several AI applications. I often hear questions from people wondering if they should use an AI framework such as Haystack or just build an entire application from scratch. Building completely from scratch is a great learning experience and also gives you full control over every step. But using a framework can help you get the job done faster and also give you abstractions that make your code more maintainable and readable.
With less control,
Generative AI technology is evolving rapidly, and it can be complex to integrate APIs from different providers of LLMs, vector databases, various tools like web search, and so on. And then there's also a lot of work to compose these functionalities into custom workflow for
Okay, I didn't need this marketing up front.
Your application. A framework like Haystack can help manage this complexity, allowing you to focus more on developing your application at a higher level of abstraction. For example, there are many vector database vendors, and using a common interface, your code can more easily adapt to changes in the underlying database technology without much refactoring of your app. Frameworks can also provide common features out of the box, which can speed up your development process. For example, Haystack supports branching and looping. Also, Eshmar Gagari and Jeff Ladry from DeepLearning.ai have contributed to this course.
Thank you.
I look forward to your building lots of exciting.
All right. I have limited patience with video presentations like that, honestly. If you're going to show me something like, I don't know, how to balance a wheel or even, you know, what to expect from some code, yeah, sure. But give me a transcript. So here we've got 15 minutes worth of video. All right.
This first lesson is an intro to Haystack's core abstractions. You'll learn what components are, how they work, and how they can be combined into pipelines for many AI use cases, as well as what document stores are and how they can be accessed by a pipeline. We'll start by creating a simple indexing pipeline, followed by a document search pipeline. Let's dive in.
Okay.
AI applications are often made up of multiple steps that work together to achieve a goal. For example, retrieval augmented generation. This is usually made up of two steps. The retrieval step, that is looking at a database and extracting the most relevant documents from that database. And then the generation step, that's using the context from these documents to generate a response. But you may have to sometimes switch things up. For example, you may have to add a ranking step between retrieval and generation. In a full AI application, there are smaller tasks that are combined into a larger use case. In Haystack, all of these small tasks are achieved by components. A component is then combined with other components to form a pipeline.
All right.
These pipelines are the entities that are achieving an application that we want to build. A pipeline also has access to some databases. In Haystack, we call these document stores, and the pipeline has access to these document stores through some of the components.
These are all
For example,
database
you may
engines.
store data in Weaviate, Quadrant, or MongoDB, and have your pipeline access these documents through some components. Pipelines are composed by connecting these components in a way that achieve an AI application. But a component can expect any number of inputs, and it can also produce any number of outputs.
Okay.
For example, the sentence transformers document embedder. This component expects a list of documents and returns the same list of documents enriched with embeddings. It also returns the metadata. This component uses sentence transformers embedding models to create these embeddings. For example, let's start with the sentence, "Is Taylor Swift Queen of the World?" We may have a
Answer,
component,
yes.
let's say an embedder, that produces an embedding for this query. We may have another component that's expecting an embedding or a vector, and it's then producing a document. Let's call this a retriever. If we then combine these two components, we've achieved a pretty accurate document search pipeline, for example. Haystack has many ready-made components. For example, generators that access different model providers, embedders that does the same. We have different retrievers that are able to retrieve from many databases. We have converters, but the list goes on. You may have rankers, routers, preprocessors, and so on. We build pipelines to create applications like question answering, document search, chat, question generation,
I want to do something.
output validation, and the list can go on and on. We build these pipelines with Haystack, but Haystack pipelines can also branch out. That means we can have applications
Okay, why are you telling me all this? Like, have me do something.
that have a decision-making component. Pipelines can get quite complex. Haystack pipelines can also loop, so it loops until a certain case is met, and so on. But the most important thing is, if Haystack doesn't have a component that you need to build your application, you can go ahead and build your own and put those into the pipeline where they make sense. All right, let's see all this in code, and let's start using Haystack components, pipelines, and document stores.
Finally.
You'll first start by adding this line to suppress any warnings that we don't need. Next,
That's here.
we're going to use a helper function that will allow us to import all of the environment variables
here.
that we're going to need for this lab, such as OpenAI, API keys, and so on. Now, let's start creating our first.
So this is a nice use of Jupyter code integrated into this page with the video on the side. Now the video went on and on and on to start, well, 3 minutes and 49 seconds, but I'm really impatient. But I like how we're going to be able to have the video right beside this. Whether we can do stuff outside of this Jupyter environment is a different question.
First component and using it.
All right.
The first component that you'll use is the OpenAI document embedder. This component uses OpenAI embedding models to create embeddings for documents. First, you'll import the document
Okay, what's an embedding for a document?
embedder, and then you'll initialize a document embedder. In this case, you'll be using text embedding 3 small as your embedding model. You can also inspect what kind of inputs and outputs this component is expecting. For example, we can see that this component is expecting a list of documents as input, and it's going to be producing documents and meta as output. We already know that this is an embedding component, so the documents that it's going to be producing will also have embeddings. Now, let's see how we would run this component. For this, we've created some dummy documents. We have a list of 2 documents, and each of these documents are mentioning things about Haystack and how you can build AI applications with Haystack. Because we know the embedder component is expecting documents as input, we can run it with these documents. When we run this component, you'll notice that it's produced a list of documents as output, and the meta information is also telling us what kind of model was used to create these documents, and the vector of size 1536. Now that you know how to use a component on its own, let's see how we would use it in a pipeline. First, we're going to start with initializing a document store, and then we're going to build a pipeline that writes documents alongside their embeddings into a document store. For now, we're going to be using the in-memory document store. This is the simplest document store you can use in Haystack, and it has no requirements to use it.
So
but if you like, you can...
We never actually did run anything here. We just had her repeat the list of stuff that's in this Jupyter, in these Jupyter code boxes. Probably nothing would have actually run, but yeah, all right.
Switch this to any document store such as Quadrant, Weaviate, Pinecone, Chroma, and the list goes on. Now we have an in-memory document store. Let's write our first TXT file into this document store. We're going to start by importing all of the components you're going to be using for the first indexing pipeline. You're going to be using the OpenAI document embedder again, but you're also going to be using some preprocessors and converters as well. For this demo, we're going to be using all of the default variables for these components, but you can also switch this up. We'll start with a converter because we're going to have a TXT file about DaVinci that we're going to be writing into our in-memory document store. Next, we're going to be using the document splitter. The document splitter is a component that chunks up your document. By default, it splits by 200 words.
Okay. And that's how this is going to work for the rest of it. All right, I'm done.
Congratulations on completing the course. In this course, you learned how to...
I didn't, though. So, why am I bailing? Because it's been, I don't know how long, a little while, and all I've done is watch video, and that's not interesting to me. I want to do stuff, right? And here, right, it's already all put in here, and even if I run it, okay, and I get an error, right? I'm just, stuff just doesn't happen. Pick this last one here and run it. I got another error. So, I don't know, was I expected to change something along the lines here or whatever? I don't know. But it's boring. And if the whole thing is done using Jupyter, which it appears to be, how can I transfer this to my own practice? This isn't an AI application I can use at all for anything. So let's try this one. No. Maybe because I didn't run the rest. I don't know. Anyhow, that's it. I'm done. I didn't like this course. I like following instructions and doing things. I don't like watching videos and just that. All right, nothing more to say. Bye.